Hi friends, in this video you are going to see the bonus meal that I was going to include with the dinner pantry challenge. However, it was just becoming too long, so I decided to create a new one for the buffalo chicken baked potatoes. And so you may see some things going on that don't make much sense, but that's because it's due to the pantry challenge dinner video you guys have already seen. Going to be for tonight. So one way I stretch the chicken, or at least make it seem like I'm stretching it, is I cut it in half lengthwise, and then I just cut it into small bite-sized pieces. That tends to make it feel like there's a lot more chicken, and then when people go to top it on the baked potato, it's there's enough for the four of us, because again, this was a happy little accident. I had 2 chicken breasts because that's usually what feeds us in a freezer bag, and when I pulled it out, and I just have a little bowl right here, when I pulled it out, I noticed that the chicken was really small, and I was like, there's no way that's going to feed us. What can I do? And that's when I was like, you know what, let me not make the chicken the star of the show. Let me do baked potatoes, and I'll just kind of create this buffalo chicken baked potato, and we topped it with homemade ranch or blue cheese, depending on which one everybody wanted, along with bacon and green onions, and it turned out to be a family favorite, and everyone really enjoys it. So I'm just going to go ahead and have that as a little bonus in this video to show you guys, because we do need to eat dinner. Sometimes after a big day in the kitchen, I'm a little too tired, but these meals have actually been put together fairly quickly, and so it hasn't been as bad as it can be. So, all right, I am going to get this cleaned up, get my hands washed again, and then I'm going to wrap the chicken for tonight, put it in the fridge, and then I'm going to make the marinade for here. And so let me get this cleaned up so I can move on to this, and then I'll be right back. The baked potatoes, I've rinsed them off. I'm just going to give them just a quick dry. I'm going to go ahead and get these in the oven, so that way while I finish up the chorizo, the chicken is done, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. We can get these baking, so that way by the time I get all this and cleaned up, it'll be time for us to have dinner. So don't forget to poke holes in your potatoes. Now usually when I do these, I will get the much larger baking potatoes, but I'm using what we have in the house. And so again, as part of the pantry challenge, I know I went and bought an extra orange today, but that little bit is okay. But for the potatoes, this will be just fine. So I'm covering them with olive oil and rubbing them with olive oil. Now, some people eat the potato skins, and others don't. So this is why I do it, so that way anybody who has it can eat it. So I just take and I top it with a little bit of salt as well. This is the sea salt that I use. You don't have to do any of this stuff at all. And these are going to go into the oven, so we're going to put them in there because they're going to bake for about 45 minutes. And just ignore the bottom messy part of my oven. I have been clean, but I haven't wiped it out yet, so it's just kind of there. So we're going to get those in. Timer is set for 45 minutes, and now while the potatoes have been in the oven, I have prepped the toppings for the baked potatoes, and now I'm going to get the chicken cooking. They are close to coming out of the oven, so I like to wait until about 10 minutes before. So to my pan, I've added in a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons worth of olive oil, and now I'm adding just a touch of salt and pepper to my chicken. You don't want to add too much because you are going to be pouring a sauce over the chicken. This is just to add just a little touch of additional flavor to it. So once I've got my chicken completely cooked all the way through is when I will add in my sauce. You never want to add it too early because you won't be able to tell whether or not the chicken is cooked all the way through. And so for tonight, I decided to add in the Nashville Hot sauce that my husband's really been enjoying, but you can use any type of buffalo sauce that you would like. And if for any reason that you don't like buffalo sauce, you could also use just barbecue sauce. It's really up to you. We like buffalo, and so that's what I started when I just, like I said, a happy accident to creating this meal is how do I stretch the 2 small chicken breasts that we had to feed the 4 of us. And so happy little accident turned out to be one of our favorite meals, and our daughter will actually cheer when I tell her I'm making this for dinner, so it's really funny. So anyways, so you're just going to put enough sauce on it to just coat the chicken. This is not something that you want like a ton of sauce with, because again, you're just trying to add enough in to coat each piece so that way it's covered in flavor, because you're going to be adding in other layers of flavors from a variety of different toppings that go with a buffalo chicken baked potato. So you don't need to have this abundant amount of sauce, because the goal is to have all those other flavors come together and complement each other without overwhelming each other. All right, so now that the baked potatoes are done, we have everything ready to assemble. And as you can see, we have the potatoes, the chicken, homemade ranch, have a garlic herb butter, and we have cheese, and we also have green onions. Now you can change this up to whatever suits your family or whatever you have in the house. It's up to you. And to assemble the potatoes, it's really just quite simple. You're just going to cut open your baked potato and then add in your butter if you so choose. You don't even have to use butter. That's really up to you. For our daughter who has a dairy sensitivity, we just use her ghee, and that works really well too. I just happened to have that garlic herb butter in the house the first time I created this recipe, and I liked it so much, and I believe everyone else did too, that's just what we use now. I like to keep that in the house. It's wonderful for making garlic bread. It's just it saves you a bit of a step when it comes to making garlic bread, because you know what, there's some nights that you just need that ease for making dinner. So anyways, for me, I add in sometimes a teaspoon, sometimes 2 teaspoons of butter. It just depends on my mood for that night. And so I like to mash the butter into my baked potato, and that's just personal preference. Again, this is just me creating my potato for dinner, so I just wanted to show you guys how I do it. Now, once I've got the butter kind of mashed into the potato, I like to add in the chicken. And then that way from there I can add in toppings on top of the chicken. Plus it just assembles better. It just works better to have the meat on top of the potato. And so you add as much or as little. And as you can see, the chicken is not super saucy, and that's what I was looking for. I don't want a bunch of sauce to cover the potato because it already has the butter on there. And I'm adding in some homemade ranch. Now, if we have homemade blue cheese in the house, I will typically add that to it, but this time we only had ranch. And then I'm topping it with some green onions. Now, I will also typically add in bacon bits, but my bacon was frozen, and so I didn't feel like thawing it that night because I had already been recording so much. And then as you can see, I finished it off with cheese as well. So, you can add as much or as little as you like or what you have in the house. If it's simply just a baked potato with chicken on it, that's perfectly fine. And as you can see in this one, I had the bacon bits, but I had chives that time. And so instead of green onions, we added chives. And all of those things work really, really well together. So just wanted to share this quick little, what was supposed to be a bonus video to the pantry challenge. I hope you guys like it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you stopping by and watching my videos. Thank you so much.